It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. Congrats, your business is doing great. All your hard work is paying off, but you need help like now, and you have to hire fast. How can you hire amazing candidates quickly? Easy, just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. And with sponsored jobs, your posts jump to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. One of the things I love most about Indeed is that it has one of the largest databases of job seekers, giving employers access to a wide range of candidates. And with job alerts, I get notified when new candidates apply. And with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. So how fast? Well, in the minute that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support a show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook. This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 46. All right, you got this one.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He was born in Connecticut, and for some crazy reason, he misses the winter, Pat Flynn.
While DIY website tools are everywhere, most fall short on design and performance. Hit publish. Framer ships your site worldwide in seconds. No code, no compromises. Framer is a powerful, user-friendly platform that delivers developer-level results without writing a single line of code. Make your designs move and convert with Framer. Framer brings your site to life with powerful animations, dynamic content handling, and a design-first approach that helps your site stand out. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. Browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something of your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, scroll and looping animations, and much more in seconds. And it's free to start. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting of generating starter layouts and can even translate your entire site to any language. On the back end, you'll get responsive breakpoints, built-in hosting, a flexible CMS, and privacy-friendly analytics. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at Framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's Framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all of this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed, all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Sometimes I miss the order. I mean, 75 all year long is great, but, sometimes you just got to mix it up, which is exactly what we're going to do today. And my name is Pat Flynn. Welcome to session 46 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. I'm super stoked to be hanging out with you today, so let's get right into today's content. Now, like I said, we're mixing things up a bit today because we're bringing on a guest who approaches online business a little differently than most people do, at least here in the solopreneur space. A lot of people who teach this online business stuff, including myself, we talk about picking a topic of interest, preferably something you're passionate about or, at least are very interested in, and then sort of becoming an expert at it and sharing that knowledge with others who would consider you an expert just because you know a little bit more than they do. And really, that's all it takes to become an expert. You just need to know a little bit more, have a little bit more experience than others who are looking for information about that thing. This is how I started my online business with my exam website in the architecture industry. I didn't really consider myself an expert personally. It wasn't like I could just answer every question that was thrown to me in an instant. But because I was the person who took the exam, passed it, and published helpful tips, guides, and summaries and things like that online, I was seen as the expert, which made selling an ebook eventually, which really changed the course of my life, a year and a half after I started that site, much, much easier. But today's guest says, forget the whole become an expert in a particular field model and just focus rather on the pains, needs, and desires of those in various industries and help solve those problems. Become an expert at understanding problems. And you don't even have to know that particular field in order to do that. You just have to dig deep, which is exactly what this guest teaches us to do. And then building software to solve those specific problems. He has some very successful personal examples as well as some very successful and interesting examples from his own students. And I must say this is probably the most radical, but at the same time, most eye-opening podcast yet on the Smart Passive Income Podcast. Our guest has also been featured on Mixergy.com in one of the most popular, viewed, and talked about interviews over there with Andrew Warner. So I'm happy to have him on as a guest today. So everyone, let's welcome Dane Maxwell. What's up, Dane? How's it going?
What's up, man?
So for everyone out there, if someone came up to you and said, Dane, what is it that you do? If they met you at a conference and for the first time and they said, Dane, what do you do? How would you respond?
It kind of depends on the time of day that you ask me. Right now, I would probably tell you that I run the most lucrative business on the planet, which is software as a service.
Software as a service. Explain.
Well, I really like the margins of product-based or web-based businesses combined with the recurring revenue of utility companies. And having around 80% profit margins without actually having to service the customer because they actually use the application. So it's very easy to get, say, 100 people at $100 a month and make 120 grand a year just servicing those 100 people with your software. And it's a lot easier to build than you'd think.
Right. So you're talking about software as opposed to, what I talk about a lot and what a lot of other people online talk about in entrepreneurship is becoming an expert at something and then teaching people how to do that. Correct?
That's what the entire internet teaches.
But you're saying, build software. Now, what kind of software are you building? I mean, how do you know give us some examples of stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, I'll give some examples, and I kind of want to zoom out and talk about why people don't get into software, because I don't know how to write code. I built my first software product without spending any money, and I didn't even come up with the idea. And the first version was built in like 6 weeks, and I turned that into a 6-figure business in the first year, all from my parents' basement, with starting from absolutely nothing. And so it's totally possible. And I actually was never into the internet marketing space to even get sold on the concept of becoming an expert. In fact, I actually remember getting involved in like the Warrior Forum or like the Onyx Silver courses where they talk about selling those ebooks. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, wow, this must be the way. This is how you have to do it. Meanwhile, my business is doing like 10 grand a month at the time. And so I tried selling these ebooks, and I put like 2 months into like putting these ebooks together, and I make like 1 or 2 grand a month at the most selling these ebooks. And I was like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Software's where it's at. Mm-hmm. So I quietly just kept plugging away, building more software products. So at this point, I have 4 software products. I built 7 to date. Spent about $200,000 on development, none of which was my own money, and made a little over $1 million in the process. And the products are like mostly for real estate companies. Well, in fact, all of them are for real estate companies. They are. To zoom out even one more frame, I don't know if did you ever know who made the most money in the gold rush, Pat?
The people selling the axes and the shovels.
Yep, and Levi Strauss, the guy selling jeans. So I sell tools. I sell tools, and there's a few principles we operate by. We want automated sale, we want recurring revenue, we want no accounts receivable, and we want to sell tools to markets. And so I sell tools to real estate companies in the form of, when you're a real estate company, you're very interested in recruiting agents into the company, keeping agents in the company, and then having a mobile office so agents can work from anywhere. So I have software products that are built around those 3 areas: recruiting, retention, and then helping them go paperless. And I didn't come up with any of those ideas. I'm not an expert at anything except for defining the problem. And that's really kind of how everything started.
So that's what you do. Now, let me kind of rewind here. Real estate. How did you said you didn't come up with any of these ideas. Where did you get the ideas? And how did you know that real estate was the place to provide a solution for?
My uncle was a real estate broker.
Uh-huh.
And they were just complaining about technology left and right in that office. And they just nobody liked any of the stuff that they had that was offered to them. So I started asking them about, what's some of the pain that you have associated with this, and they would just start listing off all these problems that they had. And it was in that moment that I realized, like, gosh, I can go into any market and ask what the pain is, and find that pain, and then build a product around that. And so now I never start a company without. I start companies without an idea now. I never start a company with an idea anymore.
Mm-hmm. You go into a particular market and see what their pain is and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time. The questions you ask are, what's the most important area of your business? They'll tell you. Mm-hmm. Then you ask, is there any pain associated with that activity? And there always is. And there's always an opportunity in those 2 answers. And that's where you find. Now, what happens is it's pretty interesting. There are a couple more things that you have to do. They'll answer those 2 questions. Like if there's any pain associated, they'll answer that. You have to let them answer, and then you have to follow it up with 2 more really important questions. And these are the golden questions. You say, what else? And tell me more. And you keep asking those questions until they are like they can't think of anything else. And it's usually that 4th or 5th response where the golden, most painful idea will come out. That you can start really defining accurately. And it was like Jay Abraham is the guy who was famous for saying this, but if you can define the problem better than your target customer, then they will automatically assume that you have the solution. What that means, what I've actually found that to mean is, like, what I would do is I would actually write out and define the problem, the pain that was around the real estate broker. And as soon as I had it defined so accurately and clearly, the solution just comes to you subconsciously.
Right. I know a lot of people who have created a product without even understanding their target market or what their pains are. They just have a feeling like that's something that they would want. And every time that's just been a terrible solution that hasn't been profitable at all. And I like that you're really big on not even thinking about the product at first, but just starting with the market and getting deep into understanding what it is that they really need a solution for. And they might not even know that they need it until you get deep into their head and kind of talk with them a little bit. And I think that's important. A lot of people won't make the effort to do that, to be honest.
No, they won't. And I don't know what it is, but there's this serious desire to be credentialed, to be an expert. And, we run a program called, so I have the software company, but what I'm really passionate about is teaching entrepreneurs how to build software because it's just so fun. And we have kind of this foundational set of beliefs with that framework. And, Pat, like you and I were talking before, one of those beliefs is that we do not believe in being an expert. We believe in being an expert at defining problems and then putting experts in place to solve them.
And those solutions being the best solution being software because of the reasons you mentioned earlier. Yeah. Now, I know you know this. What are some of the reservations people have when getting into software? I mean, I know I can tell you some of mine, and you kind of addressed them already, and we can go deeper into them. But I know that software is something that you have to code, and people are very scared of that. And so that's one thing. Obviously, the money to create that software is another issue, and you mentioned that earlier. And even just coming up with the right idea, which we just talked about, and then also the time spent to do it. So let's break those down really quick. Okay, coding scares the crap out of me. It scares the crap out of a lot of people, and I know I've you can outsource that, but where do you find the coders? I mean, the technology aspect of building a solution that is a piece of software is really scary because it's like people want to be so involved in everything that's going on. The reason why I like to write books and write on my blog is because I'm in control of everything. I know everything that's being posted and published and everything that's being consumed. So how do you break away from that when kind of hiring developers and creating code for these different types of software?
And did you mind if I pick on you for a second?
No, not at all. It'll bring me back to elementary school.
Well, maybe not. So you focus on that area of you control. You focus on the area that you can control, which is creating content for you, which is a decision based out of fear instead of actually love. And if you look at the impact that you're making based on your contributions, it's phenomenal, Pat. Like you're just a rock star, man. You create amazing things for the world. But how much of that is squandered because it's all channeled through what you can control? How much more could you influence and impact the world if you got out of your own way and let other people create the content, aka write the code? So there's a very freeing space that opens up once you stop trying to be the expert. And you do need to be an expert at one thing. You have to be an expert at the problem. You have to understand the problem better than the customer, better than the competition, and better than anybody else on your team, because that's what keeps you the leader, because you direct the team with the vision because you understand the problem so well.
Follow-up question. How do you understand the problem if you're not a part of that niche in that market? I mean, I know you can ask a couple people, but shouldn't those people who have that problem understand that problem because they are having, they're living that problem?
No. No, I've never seen it. I've taught people how to build. I think I've oversaw 10 to 15 different software companies being built now, and none of the customers could ever articulate the problem very clearly. Because what happens, well, it's really simple. You just ask questions like crazy until you understand the problem yourself, which means you have them repeat themselves a lot. You ask them, if let's just say, for example, when I was building paperlesspipeline.com, which is let's talk about those objections that people have about getting into software. First off, writing code scares me too. And I've hired enough developers now to know how to not hire the bad ones and to hire the good ones.
We can talk about, go on like Elance or something, or do you for this type of stuff you need something a little bit more robust?
You could go on Elance, but there are you want to hire the A players, and A players are not looking for work. So we can talk about where you go to find A players in a second. But so let's talk about which one of these first ones should we talk about? So paperlesspipeline.com, go check it out. It's a phenomenal business. I've got a team that runs that now. I started with just me and a developer, built it up to about 30 grand a month, hired a CEO to run that company, and then now have completely stepped away, and the thing is fully automated. And now I teach full time. But I got started on that project by talking to real estate brokers and asking them, what current software out there what software have you been looking for, but you just can't find a good solution?
Great question to ask.
Now, there are like 20 or 25 questions that I teach people to ask in the foundation, and we can go, I'll be happy to give as many questions away as possible, but this is one of those good golden questions. And the recurring answer that came up over and over again was transaction management software. Let me zoom out a little bit too. There's this whole talk about like picking stuff that you're passionate about. I got to pick my passion. I got to pick something that interests me. This is something that cripples potential entrepreneurs from getting started. I don't really give a about. Is it okay that I'm cussing on your podcast? Do you want me to clean it up?
From this point forward, that'd be awesome. But I can bleep them out, or just quickly go or whatever.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm glad I asked. So I don't really have I don't have a passion for real estate companies. I don't really have a passion for transaction management, but I have a passion for solving painful problems. And now that I have a passion for solving painful problems, I can take that and go anywhere with it.
Where does that passion come from for you?
Just the dissatisfaction of seeing people frustrated by their current solution and knowing that you could provide a better alternative for them, I think might be the answer. It's just the process of like, if you talk to most business owners that are really successful, they won't really tell you that they're like, yeah, they might be passionate about their business per se, but what they're really passionate about is the process that is actually completely separate from the product.
Right.
And it's apparent with me because I built 7 different software companies because I'm very passionate about solving painful problems. So if that's been one of those things that's been tripping you up, like, I got to pick something I'm passionate about, shift your passion to just like improving people's lives. A lot of people get stuck because they're very me focused. It's like, what's my passion? What are my interests? What are my skills? No, get away from you and completely shift to what the pain of the customer is and become passionate about improving their life. And that's where a lot of freedom can open up. So if we go back to the real estate transaction management question, what software have you been looking for that just doesn't currently exist? Or it does exist, but you can't seem to find it. It was transaction management software, Pat, over and over and over again for like, I had some companies tell me they've been looking for solutions for 4 years. They'd tried 2 different solutions and none of them seemed to work out.
How did you get a hold of these companies?
Well, I had already been working with real estate offices, so it was pretty easy. Like, actually, what I did is I just Google searched like Des Moines real estate companies and I just started emailing them. Like, honestly, it's a 3-line email. I wrote emails like, let's just say, what city are you living in, Pat? San Diego, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say San Diego real estate companies. I'm going to get the top 10 in Google. I'm going to go to each one of them. I'm going to find the broker owner in the roster, and I'm going to find the office manager and or their assistant, and I'm going to email all 3 individually. And I'm going to say the subject line. You're going to want to say strange question mark. That subject line gets opened really really well, and ideally you actually send this from a female's name because you'll get double the response rate. And then you write. So I think the name Lindsay works really well, and Jill. It's weird. We split test a lot of stuff, but so the email's like 3 lines. Hey, we're doing some research on the real estate software market. Just curious, is there any software that you've been looking for over the last few years that you are having trouble finding? Thanks. Can't wait to hear back from you. Signed, Lindsay. 2-line email. You'll get 20% reply rate on something like that. As soon as they reply, that's when you take the opportunity to schedule a phone call. You cannot continue to do this over email. If you try to do it over email, you're not going to do this well. You've got to get on the phone. It's not that hard. You pick up the phone, you say, hey, so just, we were talking over email, and I overheard that, you told me that you've been looking for transaction management software. What are some of the solutions you've been looking for? What about them is it that you don't like? And you just start asking anything you can to try and understand that problem. If you're just curious, the questions will come to you. And so that's what I did. And I talked to a few real estate brokers, and a few of them were even like, dude, Dane, I know exactly this is awesome. Like, this is just pure gold, because the brokers were like, Dane, I know exactly what I want, and I know exactly how I want it to work. None of the products out there do this. And I was like, okay, cool. How do you want it to work? And they told me exactly what they wanted. I built the first version in 8 weeks. I risked $8,000 of my own money on this project because I was already generating, I don't know, 20 or 30K a month at this point with the other projects to fund this one. But I said I would not risk more than $8,000 on this. And in 8 weeks, we had our first paying user. Most people will build software for 6 months before they ever get any paying user. We have a very specific process we follow to get the first version of software out in 8 or 12 weeks. Wow. And so that's how it's actually really fun that's such a fun art, is trying to strip away features in a software product to the point where it makes you nervous, where you think, can I really get away with launching with this little?
So yeah, I think that's another important point. So when you say stripping away features, it's taking away, not building the whole thing out the way everyone described, and putting all those little, everything in there that people wanted, but just getting it to a point where it's usable and people could get some benefit from it, right?
Yeah, what you do is you just have your 20 features listed out, and you since you're talking on the phone, you talk to the person, you say, hey, so we're thinking about cutting this feature. Would you sign up for the product if we cut this feature for the first version? Yeah, I'd still sign up. Cool. Cut it out from the first version. Put it in version 2. That simple.
So you are doing updates to the software for your clients.
Absolutely. And it's so easy to do because you have the reoccurring revenue coming in every month. You just dedicate 20% of your budget to development, and then let people continue to evolve your software for you.
And this isn't like WordPress plugins, right? This is like web applications, right?
Yeah, web applications. And so when it comes to the actual writing the software part, because
a lot of people in my industry are think of software and they think of WordPress plugins, because that's what we all use, because we all use WordPress. We've seen some great success stories from people like Michael Dunlop, who created Pop-Up Domination, or Glenn Alsop, who created Opt-in Skin, and all these other ones. So even I was thinking about doing WordPress plugins. I've even had some developed, and I just didn't release them because I was not happy with how they were. But someone told me, I forget who, but someone emailed me and said, Pat, please do not do WordPress plugins. You're going to be chained to the emails that you get from people who are having compatibility issues with their themes. Do a web application instead if you're going to do software. So it's really cool to kind of hear you having so much success with that, and then hearing my buddy tell me, don't do be careful with WordPress plugins. You can have so much more control over what's going on with your software if you do a web application.
And I overheard something in there. This is a common mistake people will make. You were wanting to build WordPress platforms because you were kind of going to, what do I know? What is my expertise? Versus actually picking a market and having a virgin baby brain and going in and trying to find the pain. Right.
Yeah. And from my own experience, I've gone into a market that I haven't, that I wasn't familiar with. A lot of people know I built a site in the security guard training industry, and I got to number 1 in Google in 73 days, and it was really easy for me to figure out what was missing because I wasn't a part of it. And so going into it fresh, it was really easy for me to understand kind of what needed to be done, as if I was someone who was looking for security guard training. There was no solution out there, so I built it. It just happened to be an informational site as opposed to a web application.
Yeah, and I want to make sure on this short interview, because there's so much to talk about, that we really address at the point, so people aren't just left okay, well that sounds cool, but they really don't. They're not inspired to do it. So I think should we maybe talk about the software portion and then how to fund it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to next. Actually, the money. So you said you didn't even. Well, you said you spent $8,000 on on your paperless. Sorry, where did it go? I want to make sure I got the name right when people go to it. I've written like 5 pages of notes already.
Oh wow, cool, dude! Paperless pipeline.
Paperless pipeline. Oh, there it is on the first page. Yeah, paperless pipeline. That was not your first application, or was it?
No, that was my 7th one I built.
Your 7th one. Okay, so
all the mistakes that I made.
Go ahead.
Yeah, all the mistakes I made on all the other software products I corrected and fixed on the 7th. And when I teach people how to build software, they get like all this to skip all of those
the mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first ones you built, you said they weren't your ideas. You weren't coding them yourself, and you didn't even use your own money. So how does that work?
Yeah. So I'll explain the tactic because it's really simple, but I want to touch on the underlying belief. So I believe with the foundation, we believe not in not in using our own money if we can help it. Basically,
explain what the foundation is really quick, because we've mentioned a couple times. I don't think people at this point would quite know what that is yet.
The foundation is a program where we teach people how to build 6-figure software products, even if they have no idea, no money, and no software experience.
Right, and this is a paid, like, really hardcore group. I mean, you have to go through application processes, and you get selected, and then you go away and you work with Dane and his team for how long is it? Like 6 months or something like that?
Yep, 6 months.
6 months. Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I've watched the video for the foundation. I'll put a link in the show notes and stuff for everybody if they're interested. But it is a paid thing that you go to. You have to commit 6 months of your life to learn all this stuff and learn from Dane, and it's really cool. But just I wanted to mention that before we continue on. So you said in the foundation, in regards to starting up, a software company, and funds. Go on.
Yeah, dude. So that will probably help give some context. So we give it the name the foundation because we have this foundational set of beliefs and principles that we use to completely eliminate risk from starting a company. We just happen to be using software because that is the most lucrative vehicle to finance our freedom. It's not like we're tied to software, like software is the holy grail or anything, but it just so happens that it is. Software just happens to be like the best way for us to not have to work and make recurring revenue. Going back to the first product that we ever built was recruitingninja.com, and this is a recruiting website for real estate companies. Like I said, questions you want to ask are: what's the most important area of your business, and do you have any pain associated with this activity? When I asked real estate companies this, they said the most important area of my business is recruiting, and I have tremendous amounts of pain. I said, okay, well, what kind of pain? Well, I need to recruit agents and I can't find the time to do it. Okay, well, what are you spending your time doing right now? Well, I'm running the office, I'm paying the bills, I'm trying to keep the lights on, I'm trying to keep my current agents happy. Okay, cool. So would you have an idea of like what you'd actually want to have in place to help you with recruiting? Well, I know this internet thing is like kind of starting to take off, and it might be nice to have some sort of internet presence for my recruiting. Okay, bam, there's the idea. Seriously, like a 5-minute conversation. Mm-hmm. So this conversation happened to be with my uncle, and so funny because I had no idea about recruiting. I had no idea about the industry. It's just so awesome. Like it's such an abundant world. There are more painful problems that I could ever imagine solving. Anyway, we clearly defined the problem, and then I posted a job on rentacoder.com, and that's now called VWorker. I really like that site. It's a nice site. It's really ugly, but man,
I've seen it. I haven't used it because it's really ugly. That's why I prefer that's why I prefer Elance No Desk. But I've heard some good things about Rent-A-Coder. Or VWorker, whatever it's called. I liked Rent-A-Coder better as a name, though.
So did I. And, actually, I've been working with a guy that I pay $600 to $700 a month, and he works full-time for me for the last 5 years that I found on Rent-A-Coder.
Nice.
He is so good. My gosh. Well, he's okay. He's 7. He's worth 7. He's amazing. I don't want to say anything bad about him. He's not like $100 per hour programmer that is going to try and challenge me and tell me that some of the things I'm doing are wrong and find better ways to do things. He is going to kind of really more closely follow what I say. Now he does what I need him to do, and I trust him and I love him. In fact, I will probably continue to always pay him, always try and find a way to pay him, because I'm trying to finance him through some things in his life right now, like college and stuff he wants to go through. And I even tried to get him to come over to the United States. But anyway, I found this guy in Rent-A-Coder, and he wanted to build the first version of this recruiting website platform, which is basically a really crappy WordPress CMS, really heavily tailored to real estate companies using direct response principles, like lead generation and things like that, to help real estate brokers recruit agents. Now, this is a very, very lucrative industry. So what I did when I was trying to price this product out is I asked brokers, what's the value of a new agent to your office? They're like, oh, it's about 10 grand a year. Holy crap.
Wow.
So if we helped recruit one new agent per year, that'd be worth 10 grand to you. Like, yeah. I was like, great. So how does $200 a month sound? $2,400 a year. It's like, nothing. That's great. One agent, we 5x our return.
Oh, wow.
Now I'm selling a WordPress platform that most people use for free for $200 to real estate companies, because I understood and clearly defined the problem better than anyone else.
Right. And you're a quicker solution than them trying to figure it out themselves.
And a quicker solution too. So it was going to cost like $3 grand to build the first version of $2,500 to $3 grand to build the first version of this software product. So I went to since I had no money, I went to my uncle and I said, hey, would you pay for 100% of this product and then get it free for life? And he's like, well, $200 a month, I'll have it paid for in just like a little over a year. Absolutely. So I built my first version of my product without spending any money on software. And so now that's what I teach people to do is they get money from their customers in advance for a product before it exists. And then they get the product free for life. You have guaranteed paying customers. You have virtually no chance of failing because they're paying for something that doesn't exist yet, but you know they want it, and they funded your development.
Oh, that's awesome. So would you recommend kind of finding one particular kind of potential client that would use the product after you build it and build it together with them and try to get them to fund it for you?
Yes.
And really make sure that they understand that that's something they need, and also they would be stupid not to do it.
Yes, and you won't really need to make them understand it, because like they'll beg you. If you've dug and found the pain well enough, they will be pissed at you if you don't. Right. It's not like this is one of the, when it comes to marketing and selling the product, this is how it works. If you've dug deep enough and you've found the pain, customers will be pissed if you don't give them it. It's not like you'll actually even have to talk them into it. People like get upset when I turn them away. I don't have to prospect. They come to me because I found a deep enough pain.
So from that point, I mean, so you built that, and then you know your uncle's using it. How do you get it out there into that market when you're not even a part of it yet? Do you use the contact that you have and go from there and have them shout it out? Do you have like an affiliate program that goes along with it?
I use webinars, and I do things like Google searching top cities and then buying lists of email addresses and fax phone numbers. I don't do fax anymore because that's illegal. And the email's a little on the sketch side, but what I do is I send it with such tremendous value that like I get barely any spam complaints. So I might buy a list of like 3,000. There's like 3,000 Remax companies in the country. So I might get that list of 3,000, and I might like find the very best recruiting tip that I could ever give. Mm-hmm. And then I would cold email them like, hey, recruiting tip to recruit an agent. Hey, if you've been looking to recruit agents, try and do this XYZ thing on Facebook to agents, and you might recruit them. Hope this helps. Signed, Dane. P.S. If you have any interest in recruiting agents using the internet, check this out.
Nice. So really a soft kind of sell, not even a sell at all, just kind of a really providing value, and then at the end maybe giving them an option to learn more if they're interested.
Yep, and that's how I started every company. Is we target direct markets, and then since we have such a direct targeted market, we can email them or phone call them directly. And it doesn't take long. If you're charging $200 a month, you know, we've had 200 brokers on that at any one time. That's like 40 grand a month just cash flow and like create. I was traveling the world for 3 months, like 2 years ago. And I left and came back like, $100,000 richer after traveling the world and not even working, because we just had this software running in the background the whole time. And like, after people started hearing about this, they're like, dude, Dane, teach us how to build software, because we know you don't know, we know you don't know how to write code. We know you didn't have any money, and we know you're not coming up with these ideas. So what is it that you're actually doing? And I was like, I actually didn't know what I was doing was valuable. I was just doing what I thought worked. But once the world kind of caught wind, and once I got on Mixergy, it's a whirlwind. And so we just spent 6 months teaching about 88 people how to do this. And we created 5 or 10 new companies in the process following that framework.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you've been working with these people in the foundation. What's maybe the most common issue people have when trying to get started with this type of stuff?
Just one? I mean, like it's not having the information. I'll tell you that. It's not having the how-tos. I feel like I've cracked the code on creating successful entrepreneurs. And what I've done is, when you work in, like, if in the foundation, like I work with every single day, we're doing like an hour phone call Q&A, like you get direct access to me, because what I found is that people just get stuck a lot. And they have a really specific issue that's really pertinent to just them, and like they need personal help with that. And so they come on those calls and they ask. And there's like a secret language of millionaires, if you will. And this is the secret language of millionaires. And just like any foreign language, you can't learn it in a day. And if you hear it, it's likely going to go over your head. And that secret language is direct response marketing. And you couple that with the whole concept of idea extraction and finding the pain. And then you couple that with building a product, selling a product that doesn't exist, and using that to fund. And there's this whole language to it. And you really just can't buy a book and learn this. It's got to be an experience. So what I've found that like makes it so successful is that they get 6 months access to my mindset every single day, and they're plugging into me every single day. What happens is they start to reprogram their mindset to a more abundance mentality. They start to see that there's painful problems everywhere that they can solve, and they start to see all of their limiting beliefs that have been getting in the way. So I would say the biggest thing that stops people are their limiting beliefs about themselves, their self-worth. They don't actually have, what I found is that people are not actually afraid of failure. They're actually very afraid of success, because for them to become instantly successful within 6 months going through the program, it shines a light on them. All their family members and friends are like, oh my gosh, this guy's so successful now. And so I'd actually have people in the foundation sabotaging their success. And so when I'd find that out, I would contact them. We do one-on-one phone calls, and then I'd dig in, and I'd find they have this limiting belief that says, I'm not good enough unless I've achieved something.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that the whole fear of success, and I think that's I was reading Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, T. Harv Eker, and in it he shares the secrets that millionaires have. I mean, it's not really secrets, but just kind of common themes that millionaires have, and one of them is that they don't have that fear. They all and they train themselves to be excellent receivers. That's kind of the term he uses, to be open and willing to receive massive amounts of money, which for some reason a lot of people are scared of. And I know I kind of went through the same thing. And I could feel myself sabotaging myself, not in a drastic way, but just not taking it to the next level when I totally knew that I could have. I think the whole mindset thing is so important, and that's something that people feel like they're always in control of what's going on when they don't even know what's going on in their heads sometimes.
It's totally true, and it's one thing to explain logically. It's another thing to completely internalize experientially. And there are a lot of things that you can logically explain, but just for whatever reason, you just can't seem to make it happen. You've got a limiting belief, you've got something you're stuck with, you've got a roadblock, and you're not going to be successful until you get that thing reversed. And unless you have a kind enough, compassionate enough, gentle enough teacher that without judgment will help you reverse that, you're not going to move forward. So if the kinds of people that buy products and they still don't have the business they want, the kinds of people that read the 5 or 6 blogs like yours and everyone else's that is talking about how awesome their life is and how they're building all these businesses, but then they just can't do it. Those are the kind of people. The reason that you are not, if that is you, the reason that you don't have that business you want is not because you're lacking information. People get stuck and they need help getting unstuck. And it happens, the 6 months of the foundation are like, month 1, you find the pain in the market. Month 2, you validate and try and sell it. Month 3, you hire the team and put the place in to build that software and get the sales to fund that. Month 4, you start building a list of people that are interested in the software. Month 5, you build a relationship and rapport with that list while the software is being developed. And then month 6, you launch and you start charging users. Each one of those months, people get stuck. Every single month they get stuck. And so they just need, access to people that can help see what they can't see so they can become unstuck. They need that personal level of attention. And when you talk about sabotaging yourself, Pat, I did this for years. I am just a born teacher. It's in my heart to teach people to do this stuff. I could actually really care less about software and business. What I really want to help people do is just have an abundance of joy in their life because they're living from a set of empowered beliefs. If you think that you need an idea to start a business, if you think that you need money, and you think that you need to be an expert or something, those are all 3 lies, all 3 limiting beliefs that are keeping you from joy and keeping you from being happy. And so like that's what I'm ultimately after, is like helping replace the sadness with joy. Business just happens to be like a great vehicle to do that. And I was sabotaging myself with limiting beliefs that says that if I'm a teacher, then I don't have freedom anymore. And then I will be stuck in this prison because I'll have all this accountability and stuff. And finally, I just got so unhappy building my software products and making all this money with software. It just didn't matter anymore. Like I just wanted to move into teaching because I was done sabotaging myself.
Nice. Now, just to finish up, I want to, again, thank you for coming on. And this is definitely probably a very eye-opening or ear-opening podcast for people. But I know you've coached these amazing people in your group. Maybe can you share one success story, one software company that was built as a result of being in the foundation? Kind of what was the pain that they solved?
How many more minutes do we have?
As much as you need. Okay.
If people would like to have me back, I'd be happy to come back as many times as asked. If we wanted to talk about webinars, we have a 50% conversion rate from free user to paying user on our software product, which is unheard of in the software as a service industry. We're doing a lot of things unique to that. There's a lot of things that I'd be happy to talk on, especially around the whole finding and paying case studies, because I could highlight like at least 5 of them. I can highlight just a couple of the really cool ones. My favorite is Sam Ovens. He's a 22-year-old guy from New Zealand. He worked at a cell phone company, and he started working out of his garage. He had no money, and he had no idea, and he was scared. I almost cussed. He was scared to death of writing software. Mm-hmm. And he had no idea how to write code. So the first thing that we teach in the foundation is to pick a market. And one of the most lucrative markets on the planet is property management. And so he picked property management. We have kind of a list of like 5 criteria. You want like at least 1,000 people in the niche. The business needs to make at least $100,000 a year. They need to be contactable by email or phone. There's some things that we do, but like property management really fits the bill.
Okay.
And so he started contacting them, and he asked them, what are some of the repetitive tasks that you guys have to do on a day-to-day basis? Mm-hmm. And they said, well, we actually have to do property inspections a lot. When people move out of the property, we have to go inspect it and get it relisted to rent again. And in order to do these property inspections, they have to use a digital camera, take pictures. So then he said, okay, so what's so painful about that? They said, okay, well, we use a digital camera and we go take pictures, and then we got to come back and we got to plug it into our computer. Then we open a Microsoft Word document, we drag photos in, we comment on the photos. And, he said, so how much time does one of these take you? And, take an hour or 2 per property or whatever it is. And he just asks these questions and defines this pain around property management inspections. And he really clearly defines it. He finds out how much time they're wasting. He finds out how the current process works. He finds out a few other things. But ultimately, the solution became pretty obvious as he's defining it. Let's just make an iPad app where you can snap a photo, type a few notes, and boom, you're done. So he defined the problem, and he said, this is the problem. This is exactly what it is. And I want to make an iPad app that solves this. Like
Nice.
2 lines. I want to make an iPad app that solves this with the defining of the problem. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I was just saying, nice. That's a perfect solution.
Yeah. And if you have half of a brain, if you have any part of a subconscious, like the subconscious is so powerful, it'll tell you the solution when you're defining the problem. You don't have to worry about coming up with a solution. When you're defining the problem, I can't tell you how inspirational this is for people when all they have to focus on is defining the problem, because most people are all you want to marry the problem. See now, Sam's got iPad inspection. So it's called snapinspect.com. Beautiful, beautiful product, snapinspect.com. You can go check it out. Now, and when he started 6 months ago, he had nothing. And then we'll talk about how he didn't pay any money for development in a second too. But now that he's got this problem defined, Pat, which is the property inspections, and he's got the solution with the iPad app. If the iPad app bombs, his idea is not dead because he's not married to the solution of the iPad app. He understands the problem so well that he can probably shift to something else to solve that problem in another way.
Got it.
So when you define the problem, you're not locked into your solution. Versus what happens is these guys, they come up with their own idea, then they try to sell it, they find nobody wants it, and they get really married to the solution, they fall in love with the solution, and they try and tweak this and tweak that. Maybe if we tweak that, then maybe it'll finally sell, because they're so married to the solution and they're completely disconnected from the fact of what problem they're actually solving. This doesn't happen. So this is the most effortless, fun way ever of starting a business. So and then it comes to he saved about $30,000 on development by hiring a programmer and giving him equity. And now a programmer is not going to give you equity unless they believe in the product, unless they see the revenue potential. So what happens is when you recruit a developer, especially the better the developer, sometimes the more likely they are to take equity. This is not always the case, but really good developers are keen on equity. I have not used keen in such a long time. And so what happened is $30,000. He said, look, this is what I want to do. And the developer's like, okay, well, let's show me your marketing plan. And it just so happens we're awesome at marketing as well. So he said, well, we're going to contact property management companies from phone, from email, from postcard. We're going to give them a free report on how to save time on their property inspections. We're going to convert on this number and blah, blah, blah. And here's our revenue potential. And the marketing is very systematic and simple. Like, you don't need to overcomplicate the marketing. And the developer saw this, and so he jumped on board. And so instead of paying the developer $30,000, he got the app built for free. He actually got 12 property management companies to pay in advance for the product before it existed.
Wow.
And I wish you could show you screenshots. Like, he had these guys emailing him in all caps, where is the product? I need it now. Like, I can't stand doing another property inspection with my digital camera.
That's great.
And one of the things that we believe in the foundation is that there is an unmet need in every market. All you have to do is dig long enough to find the pain.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And how's that app doing?
The first month of its release, it started at $2,000 a month in revenue.
And that's recurring. That's recurring.
Recurring.
Because you can set recurring incomes on your iPad and iPhone apps.
Well, yeah, they pay on the web app interface. There's a web app interface and the iPad interface.
Hey, that's awesome.
So $2,000 a month. He'll be at 6 figures quickly, and it'll be a 7-figure per year business. But just imagine your first month out of the gate, $2,000 a month.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, it took me. I know people know my story. They say, "Oh, well, Pat's first month he made $8,000." Well, no, that was 2 years after starting that website, and then finally monetizing it. So, I mean, seeing that kind of income in after 6 months of training, and then a month after that, or a couple months after for development, that's amazing.
No, Pat, you were an overnight success, because that makes it easier for them to make excuses about why they aren't.
Well,
instead of, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, and if you think about house inspections and all the different cities there are, with all the different houses there are, I mean, gosh, that's going to be huge.
Oh yeah, the market's a no-brainer. And like, would you like another example of finding the pain, or?
Sure, yeah, let's do it. I mean, this is so inspirational.
So let's see. I want to talk about Paul. He's a 55-year-old chemical engineer, works at DuPont. and he joins the foundation, and he doesn't even really know how to use Facebook. Okay. He's really technologically illiterate. And it was so funny when he started hiring his developer, because he's like, Dane, I don't know what server to use. I don't know what technology to use. I don't know any of this stuff. And I was like, why don't you just ask the developer that you're hiring? He's like, oh, yeah, okay. So Paul, in this case, since he's so successful as a chemical engineer, he spent his own money to develop software. I would have liked to see him not do that, but that was his choice. And so he targeted private investigators. And these are the guys that mom hires to snoop on their daughter's boyfriend to make sure he's not cheating or to make sure he's not selling drugs or whatever, so they know their daughter's safe.
Right. Yeah, I'm having a daughter soon. I might need to look up some of that stuff too.
you can wait like 18 years. Or wait, maybe like 12. Do the girls start dating?
What? Dude, no, don't even go there yet. I'm not ready for that quite yet. But go on.
I can't imagine. How old are you, Pat?
I'm 29.
29. I'm 29, and I don't know. I'll be 29 in a couple weeks, actually.
Nice. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I would be a terrible father.
I don't.
I would be good. I'm just enjoying my freedom at the moment. Anyway, Paul targets private investigators, and he asks them. This is actually a very similar theme with Sam Ovens. So he targets a private investigator. He's like, hey, so what are some of the repetitive tasks that you have to do on a day-to-day basis? No, that wasn't it. What are the tasks that you do that take up the most time? So Sam asked, what are the repetitive tasks, all doing these inspections over and over again? Mm-hmm. Paul asked, what are the tasks that take up the most time? And there are a lot of different iterations you can do with this question. There's like a couple other really good questions. We can maybe like rip on a few more before we wrap, if there's time. But they say, actually, it's generating the reports, like the property inspection reports. But instead, these private investigators have these reports that they have put together that take them like 3 hours, because they got to pull in GPS coordinates from when they were taking photos to the notes of the photo to what's going on to create this whole report so they can present it at court.
Yeah,
or to the person that's paying for that.
That makes sense. I mean, I'm thinking. Side note, right now, my mom's a security guard actually, which is why I was interested in building a site for that. But I know that she spends a lot of time writing reports too on little incidents that happens, like 4 skateboarders were found doing graffiti in the back or something, and she has to spend 30 minutes writing this whole paper thing and faxing it somewhere. So maybe there's a solution in there too. I don't know, but
that's so awesome. See, this is what I bet people listening are doing the same thing.
I hope so.
Which is hopefully inspirational. So maybe we do one more example that's away from the report, because there are so many applications. And when I talked about pipeline and how I spent $8,000, the last thing that I want is for someone to be like, oh, well, he had $8,000. I don't have $8,000. I can never do that. That's why I stressed the recruiting one where I didn't have to pay anything, so that people won't have an excuse. I'll know that my work on this earth is done. Maybe not, but to be over dramatic, like I'll know that my work on this earth is done is when a potential entrepreneur has no other excuse for why they can't get started. It's the only thing they can say is, I just don't want it bad enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, the private investigators are like the reports. So what he does is he creates this software product that creates the reports in like 15 minutes for him, as opposed to 3 hours. And
people are going to pay for that.
Yeah, they're going to pay for that. If you find pain, people will pay for it. And honestly, if people aren't paying for your product, it's because there's not enough pain. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to sell novelty, like a fart whoopee cushion or whatever, that stuff can sell sometimes. But honestly, if you're not finding pain, they're not going to purchase. So anyway, he creates this thing. It's called SherlockDocs.com.
Sweet name.
And yeah, we do some good stuff with naming in the foundation. However, names don't mean squat, and they're nice, but honestly, that product is going to be successful if he called that I eat corn in Iowa.com. would probably he would probably been as successful,
probably more successful actually.
Yeah. I say that because I'm actually from Iowa originally. I'm in Boulder right now, just kicking it for a while.
Oh, nice.
But so he creates that called Sherlock Docs. I don't like how much money he spent to build that. That cost him somewhere between 25 and 30 grand, because he did not strip away features like I wanted him to. But he had the money, so I wasn't that adamant about it. I was like, well, if you're okay with spending, that's fine. But like in most people's cases, I'll get them either not spending any of their own money, or if they do, spending as little as possible.
Right. So when you say strip away features, like getting rid of the unnecessary stuff to launch, which would be cheaper, and then you can use that recurring income that you get in the beginning to then add those features later.
Yep. And then the people that are using the product get really excited because they see the product evolving.
And they'll stick around for much longer.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. And the developers building these features for you while you are doing whatever it is that you want to do.
I always thought membership sites were the ultimate kind of form of generating an income online for the same reasons. It can be automated, right? And you have the recurring income, but from what I know, at least in the industry I'm in, 3 to 4 months is the usual kind of retention rate. And then people drop off. But if someone has a piece of software that is absolutely making their lives so much better and that they cannot live without, they're going to be on there until forever.
Yeah, we one of the things we like to talk about is selling insulin to a diabetic instead of sugar cookies. So, and diabetic will not go off insulin. But they could get out. But if you're selling a sugar cookie, you're in risky territory.
It's funny. I just baked a batch of sugar cookies tonight. I'm not even kidding you.
I knew you did. That's why I brought this up. Paperless Pipeline is insulin to a diabetic. We have brokers that have been on there since day one. The lifetime value of a membership website versus software, from a quantified perspective, is usually something like 10 to 50x.
Yeah. Wow.
So on Paperless Pipeline, our lifetime value is still going up, but it's like $3,000, and we spend like $75 to acquire a paying customer.
So you're using paid advertising?
Oh yeah, we were using Google AdWords like crazy.
And so you're just a machine at that point. You're paying $75 to get $3,000.
Yeah, and
lovely.
And you don't hire AdWords until you're making like $10,000 a month. Then you can bring on someone that does AdWords.
That's fantastic. My brain is like going crazy right now.
Good. Would you like another example?
I would. It's been an hour, but I think people are loving this stuff, especially the real life examples. So let's do one more, and then let's go. Let's see if you got any more ninja questions to share that people can use to kind of figure things out. And then I definitely want to give people a link to go to learn more about the foundation and kind of more about you. So one more example.
Okay, so we've got people that have built products for music band managers to help with their Facebook. We've got people that have helped equine horse dentists with their paperless programs. We've got people that are helping accountants track their time and email. We've got a gal who created a recurring revenue business without any software at all for naturopathic doctors. So we have a lot of examples. Let me dive into the music band manager example. Really want to get you guys I want when people end this interview, I want them to understand the abundance in the world, the literal amount of abundance that you can have when you are programmed with this internal skill set. There are more problems and more opportunities than you could ever solve. And in the music band manager space, this is like we said, there's always an unmet need in every market. You just have to dig long enough to find the pain. This is a perfect example because John, he's this graphic designer from New York, and he built this thing called iDrumbeat.com, I think. Mm-hmm. And he contacted music band managers and he asked them, what are some of the things that annoy you that you have to do on a day-to-day basis? And they're like, well, posting all of our tour dates for the bands for like their entire schedule for where they're going and getting them on all the social networks and everything like that. So he defines that problem clearly and the solution becomes pretty obvious. One-click submit button that publishes tour dates to all the social media sites. Yeah. And so he's building that product out and he's a little behind. So he's still getting launched. But the cool thing is, he has music band managers ranked in the top 10 in the world. We're talking guys that have songs in the top 10 of the charts right now. lined up, ready to use this product. We're talking like Celine Dion's band manager, Willie Nelson's band manager, Avicii, the top techno guy that does all those. Like they're all lined up waiting to use this product. And these examples did not exist 6 months ago. Created from thin air, from average people that, John was a graphic designer. Sam was a cell phone company guy. Paul was a chemical engineer. Laura was a college grad in political science who built the time tracking for accountants. We're talking like this perfect storm.
Yeah, I love that. You know what else I noticed, Dane, is like you remember everybody's name and you know what they're doing. You remember their age, and that's really important, I think. And I think that speaks worlds to the kind of program that you're running. And for everyone out there, we've been talking about the foundation a lot, and I'm not an affiliate for it, and I just want to make that up front. I'm a really big believer of what Dane's doing, and I think it's huge. And if you want to, I have written down, get the questions on my notes. So do you have any couple more ninja questions? Because I think that right there can help people, no matter what they're doing, to help understand who their audience is and what their pains are.
The most important point is that you don't actually go through the whole entire list of questions when you talk to people. The most important thing to do is to dig after you get the initial answer. So what else and tell me more are like the gold, finding the gold. And no one else is teaching this stuff. I don't know anybody else talking about how to do this, but this actually works really well if you're in a relationship, if your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend's upset at you. Like, I'm really upset that like you ditched me at whatever. And he's like, oh, can you tell me more about how you feel with that? And they're going to tell you how they feel. And he's like, is there anything more you'd like to say? Is there anything more that you'd like to say? And then before long, they're like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling pretty emptied out. And now you can, like, we actually have people in the foundation that have become out better partners and they have better relationships with their family. Because they'll go to like Christmas and be like, hey, Dad, so what's going on in your life right now? Like, what's going smooth? Is there anything that's not going smooth? And like, they're actually starting to connect with people more. Really what we're talking about is how to connect with other humans on a really intimate level so you understand their problems so that you can, ultimately help them. So with that in mind, like, there are questions, like, there are fun questions you can ask, like, what are some of the software programs that you use that make you want to punch your computer? What else? What's the most important activity in your business? Is a good one. And then you follow that up with do you have any pain associated with that? We've already mentioned that one. What problems are costing you the most money right now is a really good one. Now, I did an idea extraction phone call, and I actually recorded this. This is actually pretty exciting because I did an idea extraction phone call you can do idea extraction anywhere. I was calling to pay my pool bill. For this, I own a home in Des Moines. It's a beautiful home. We have a pool. We have like 4 or 5 people living there. They all have vision boards on their wall. They're all purposefully creating with their lives. And like, just everywhere I go, I just happen to be surrounded by amazing people. This energy, just like, it's contagious and it steamrolls. Anyway, this house in Des Moines, I'm calling the pool guy and I'm paying my pool bill. And I was like, hey, do you actually have a few minutes? I kind of want to ask some questions about your business. I know I build software. There might be an opportunity to help your company with software in some way. Who knows? He's like, yeah, sure, why not? And so I was like, cool. And so I hit record on Skype, and I actually recorded this conversation so people can actually listen to me doing idea extraction in real time. Anyway, I asked him, so, what problems are costing you the most money in your business right now? And he's like, oh, when people dispute my hourly bill. So what happens? Like, he's like, well, I come in, I fix their pool, and then we leave in 2 hours, and then I send them the bill, and they're like, there's no way you were there for an hour and a half. And the person doesn't know because they were at work, but the guy can't dispute the bill because then he'll have a pissed off customer, so he usually just pays the reduced rate. So I ask him to really create the pain around this. Remember, it's not about the first answer. I say, so how often does this happen? And, usually people are like, oh, gosh, I don't know. And he's like, okay. And then I always try and help get people specific. So I'm like, okay, if you send out 10 bills, how many times will this happen? He's like, oh, at least 2 out of 10. I was like, oh, my gosh, every 2 out of 10 people dispute your bill? He's like, yeah. And I said, how many bills do you send out in a year? And he's like, oh, I don't know, 2,000 or whatever. And I was like, so wait, is that 2,000? 2% is, so it'd be 40. 40 people dispute your bill. It ended up working out to this problem cost him about $20,000 a year. Okay, so we define this problem. So what problem costs you the most money? And then we dig in to see, try and figure out how much it costs them. Mm-hmm. Then as you're defining this problem, I'm like, I already have the solution in my mind. It's GPS check in, check out that shows on the bill when they're purchasing. I mean, it's pretty clear. It's just like Foursquare for pool boys.
Yeah.
And but I was like, I asked him, I was like, have you ever tried to solve this problem in the past? He's like, yeah, I actually have. I paid $6,000 for this GPS thing that's supposed to track stuff, and it ended up breaking. So now I have a price anchor in the guy's mind of $6,000.
Wow.
And so now I know my software product can be priced pretty high. And do you know how easy this software product would be to build? And so it's just GPS check in, check out. So I ended up selling him. He said he would pay $500 a month for a silly little check in, check out that would go in attached to his bills when he sends the invoice. And that was all stemmed from what problems cost you the most money.
Right, so that's $6,000 a month or a year, as opposed to losing out on 20. And so that's an obvious buy for him. And if you can get, that's crazy. You get 10 people, 10 pool guys around the nation doing that. That's $60,000 a year right there.
Mm-hmm.
So are you building that?
No, that's for grabs. That's up for grabs. Anybody can have that one. But be careful building that unless you're like defining the problem accurately. Because, like I said, it's check in, check out, but maybe you find that there are some different ways that you could do that. Maybe you find there are pool guys that don't charge by the hour. What do you do in that case? Like, you can't just jump in and start building a product. You really need to understand the market. Anyway, so that's what problems cost you the most money. There's like 15 questions. And Drag, like, those are the really good ones. It's like, what are some of the tasks? Oh yeah. There's like a 3 or 4 framework question task, and Heat and Shaw, they asked this at Kissmetrics. What are the tasks that you do? Oh yeah. Oh gosh, I forgot. Here's one of the best frameworks ever. What are the tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis? Who's responsible for those tasks? How do you feel when you have to do that task? Create the feeling, the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you could wave a magic wand and do anything related to that task, what would it be? Oh man, magic comes out of that.
That's great.
If you could wave, and I'm not responsible for that question, if you could wave a magic wand and do anything related to XYZ, what would it be? You hear such cool stuff that builds your software for you. But
I'm going to put that in my autoresponder series, actually.
Perfect, dude. Perfect. So let's end with this last framework. So every business can be broken down into 3 areas: before the sale, during the sale, and after the sale. So there are all the tasks that happen before a sale, all the tasks that happen during a sale, and all the tasks that happen after a sale. So if you're going into a market that you have no idea about, and you're not even sure what questions, well, I already gave you the questions asked, but if you're not even sure about the market, you want to understand it, you'd say, hey, let's just break down. And by the way, when you reach out to people and you say, hey, I'm just looking to kind of understand some of your painful problems, I want to try and improve your life, people respond to that because nobody's trying to do that. You will be a hero. And the people that reject you and the people that blow you off, they're just, you should feel sorry for them because they just lost out on an opportunity to improve. But anyway, so you say, hey, tell me about all the things that you do before the sale. Like, what are some of the things that, like, if you meet a customer, what are all the stuff? Oh, we enter them into the database. We enter them into Facebook. We add them to this, like whatever it is. Okay, during the sale, what are all the things going on? And you get this list of things. And then after the sale, what are all the things going on? You get all these things. And then within those 3 areas, you will find what we call a layer. Oh, I've left a really important point, and I'm glad I'm talking about this. You end up finding a layer 4 or 5 idea. That's very focused on solving a niche specific, or not a niche, but a specific problem within that niche. If you build, when you ask people what kind of software they want, almost all of them are always going to inevitably say, I want an all-in-one solution. Mm-hmm. You do not want to build an all-in-one solution. Not only do they not want an all-in-one solution, if you actually built it for them, they probably wouldn't buy it and implement it because it takes way too much to implement. It has to change. Their entire business has to change in order for them to start using this software product. We have this framework of like 6 or 7 different elements that need to be in place for the software product to be kind of a slam dunk, lucrative lottery, not lottery, but just 6 or 7 elements. And one of the things is that the business does not have to change their behavior all that much when they sign up. So layer 4 or 5 idea, a good example is the GPS check-in, check-out for pool boys. Very, very layer 4. And that means it's like 4 layers below all-in-one software. Mm-hmm. And to get to layer 4, you just break up the before sale, during sale, and after sale, and you will find all kinds of opportunities for layer 4 or 5 software. But you want to be really careful about, you want to make sure you really do a diligent job of defining the problem. And then, we really don't talk about marketing much, but you can read like Spin Selling is an amazing book on selling. And there's some good books on marketing. Just read Pat Flynn's blog and actually, the marketing, if you extract the pain, if you find the pain correctly, the marketing does itself.
Yep, absolutely. Dane, this has been an amazing experience. I just want to thank you so much, and on behalf of everyone listening, thank you. This has been great. I know it's been kind of it's sort of a different interview than we're used to having. It's a little bit longer, but I wanted to keep you on because you did so many great things to say and experiences to share and great inspirational stories to present to us. So thank you, Dane. I really appreciate it. And if people want to learn more about the foundation, and you said you had some free stuff to give away, actually, right?
Yeah. So since the foundation is a paid program and it's pretty exclusive, we're looking to accept about 200 people. We expect it to fill up pretty quick. We don't want that to limit the impact that we have. So we're creating an entire sequence of amazing content pieces, if you will, that are going to start around September 1st. And we're going to talk about the marketing mindset. I'm going to pull the curtain back and show a screen recording. Pat, you'd really dig this. We're going to show a screen recording of me logging into the back-end admin panels of my software companies, showing the revenue numbers, showing how I run the software, showing the emails that I send my developers, showing the emails of where I extracted the idea, showing the project description about how I hired it. I'm going to show everything about how I did everything. And this is all going to be free throughout the sequence upcoming detailing to the launch when we launch October 1st with that group of 200 or so. Beyond that, I want to give a gift to anybody that's in Smart Passive Income, just as a kudos to you, Pat, and just because I respect the hell out of what you're doing.
Thank you.
So if people go to thefoundation.io/Smart Passive Income, we'll have a landing page set up just for them. And I'm going to give away, we'll give away the case study from Sam Ovens on how he built Snap Inspect in full length, full detail. But everybody else gets that, so that's not that special. What makes it special is you'll get the copywriting checklist that I use to create compelling websites that sell copy. This is the biggest and top selling product on Mixergy.com right now. I'll be giving you that free. And I'd also like to give you an interview of me when I was three years ago, when I was just getting started. Well, not getting started, but when I was really kind of starting to move along and building my first few software products off the ground. So you'll see kind of my mindset 3 years ago, and you'll be able to hear how I was when I was like 25 or 26 or 24 maybe, and really kind of be with me at the beginning of things so you can even see more of what it really means to build a business with purpose around freedom. And I think that's what I'll give your audience, Pat.
Love it, dude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So again, that's thefoundation.io/Smart Passive Income. And of course, as always, the show notes will have links too. So you can head on over to the show notes per usual on the blog. Dane, thank you once again, man. If there's anything I could do for you, just please let me know. And I'm sure, I would love to have you back again in the future. We could talk more and share some more success stories that come out of your group and just...
Yeah, man, we get a software product under your belt too.
Let's do it, dude. I would love to. All right, man. Thanks so much, and we'll talk soon.
Later, man.
Right there. All right. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Dane Maxwell. Definitely a unique and almost refreshing perspective on teaching online business. I mean, I really love the software as a solution angle, especially for those of you who can't seem to put yourself in a niche that you can become an expert in. I mean, I think everyone can do that, but I don't think everyone will or believes they can do that. And this whole becoming an expert at finding solutions thing, I mean, obviously Dane has a lot of skill in that. I mean, some of those questions are just golden, and I'm really glad he shared those with us, because I'm sure all of us can benefit from using those questions in whatever business we're in right now. But yeah, the software as a solution kind of thing is just a great option. So keep that in mind. And like Dane was saying, just keep your eyes and ears open, ask around, ask deeper, and of course, make sure you do your due diligence before getting into any market. And thanks again to Dane, and thank you for listening in today. And as a reminder, you can get the show notes and all the links that, I mean, we didn't really mention that many links except some of his students' examples. That'll be there in the show notes. And also, I'll write down all the questions, all those golden questions that he listed out for us. I'll write them in the show notes as well. You can get those at smartpassiveincome.com/session46. And until session 47, here's to you and your success. All right, cheers. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
I get it. You want to grow your business, but selling at scale feels overwhelming. You're drowning in complicated funnels, creating different lead magnets, or constantly posting on social media. And that gets exhausting fast, especially when you're trying to sell to hundreds or thousands of people. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? A score app quiz or assessment asks your audience key questions and gives them instant personalized results based on their answers. Your audience gets to know where they are now and shows them the steps they need to hit their goals. You can set up a quiz in minutes using Score App's templates and have a powerful lead magnet that'll do the selling for you. The best part is your audience actually wants to take this quiz, and you build huge amounts of trust before you even make a single offer. No hard sales, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. Just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? You record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips. Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short-form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram, without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART.